Hi, I want to tell you about the keys to achieve a successful migration to Genexus 18. If we look at this migration as a project, we might wonder, how can we achieve the success of a project? And truly, we have no magic recipes to achieve the success of a project, but there are some keys that will enable us to reach our goals. In our case, the goal is to have a successful migration to this new Genexus version. So why migrate to Genexus 18? So Genexus 18 is a project that allows us to create apps that we had never created before, and it also allows us to create apps that are more complex in a much more easy way. For example, it simplifies the adoption of features that enable us to create user experiences that are more sophisticated or have our apps in the cloud in a much more easy way. It also allows us to create DevOps projects and processes in a much easier way. To achieve this, Genexus is based on capturing more knowledge to create a valuable app for our users. So, bearing these ideas in mind, we would like to first adopt this new Genexus version, migrate our app in a very easy way, and at the same time gain all the benefits offered by this new version. And that is where the road starts, and these are the keys that will help you reach that goal. The first step is to define the goal that you want to achieve. For that, you can ask yourself, what do you want? Where do you want to go? These goals need to be smart. They need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. They will guide us throughout the migration process, so we will have to look at them and see that we are treading the path that we had defined for ourselves. One of the goals can be to migrate to Genexus 18 to get all the safety updates and the new technologies offered by Genexus 18, for example. Or perhaps I want to migrate to Genexus 18 to fully change the design of my app. Or perhaps I want to migrate to Genexus 18 to have my app in the cloud. And those are examples of some of the goals that you might have for yourselves. Now, once you have defined those objectives, we need to monitor them throughout the process. And for that, I recommend using the OKR methodology because it allows you to track those goals and see whether or not you're meeting them. The next key is to know reality. That is, where are you now? What do I need to reach my goals? Or what are the risks that I need to take into account? Obviously, here you will be looking at matters of your team. Do I have the right size team? Do I need to bring in a new skill set for my team? How can I get those skills? In terms of technology updates, what are the versions that I need to install? Do I have changes in the requirements? And in terms of compatibility, do I have something to look into? So once I know that, I need to start exploring options. And there, what I have to wonder is, what are the options available? What can I do and how can I achieve it? For example, if our team needs training, I need to know what are all the options available for my team to be trained in that new version. And if I want to create DevOps versions and processes, I want to get the tools necessary. For example, if I don't have a Genexus server, I need to hire one and I need to see if that's within budget. Also, if I want to get my app in the cloud, I need to know what are the options available and know which is the most suitable based on my possibilities. And then last but not least, once we define our objective and we know our reality and have explored all options, we need to set up an action plan. The action plan is the one that will actually enable us to execute tasks in order to meet our goals. For that, we need to have a detailed list of the tasks that we will be executing. We will have to say what the task is, who will make it, when they will make it, what are the resources available, and when we will be measuring the process of the execution of that task. And once that has been defined, the entire team needs to be committed to execute the task because that is what will actually help us attain our goal. Now I want to tell you what are the different tasks that should be included in the action tasks plan in order to successfully migrate to Genexus 18. Even if cases will be specific, these are some of the tasks that you will surely have to execute. First of all, I want to talk about training and team training and what are the options available for you. First of all, we have our training website where we have all the courses available for your team to train in the last version. We also have the official documentation in the wiki where you have all the technical details of each of the features of this new version. And then last but not least, we have set up a set of videos within GX Live that will allow you to get more details about all the features. In terms of the updating and compatibility of the technology, we have created updates in all the generators that we have for GeneXus. For the Java generator, we are generating that with a JDK18 version that allows us to have many security updates. And we have also changed the build system here using Gradle and taking the Maven packages, which allows us to update the components of the generator in a much more easy, quick way. The Net generator has been updated to the 6th version, which is the last version released by Microsoft, and it allows us to create cross-platform versions much more quickly. And also in this case, we're taking the packages of the cloud repository, which also allows us to have an increase in the times of the generator. Now, if you're using the .NET Framework generator, I suggest you move to .NET 6 because that is the generator that we will be updating from now onwards. And in terms of compatibility, we are discontinuing the use of Internet Explorer for the execution of apps, and we're also discontinuing the PVC value for the web user experience property because we're incentivizing the use of Smooth. And then as a last point, I wanted to tell you that we are adding the support of CSS layers, which allows us to quickly and orderly load the CSS components. So if you developed your proper user controls, you should consider this. Another task that you should include in your action plan is the install and the update of the tools that you will be using. In the GeneXus case, you can install this as other versions were installed in a different folder so that you can have different versions installed in the same computer. Now, once you have GeneXus 18, you need to authorize that new version, and that allows you to continue working with the previous versions as well because the licenses are compatible. In the cases of GeneXus Server, you have two options. You can either update the instance that you have been working with or install a new instance. If you only have one developer and one KV, I suggest simply updating the instance because in that way the KV is fully converted to the new version and the developers can continue working using their local computers using that particular version. And if you install a new instance, we have tools that allow you to progressively move the KVs to the new GeneXus version, so that the KV is fully updated to be worked on in the new GeneXus version. In either case, you of course need to update the GeneXus server license in the new version, which will allow you to continue working in the previous versions. If you don't work with GeneXus Server, the easiest way for you to turn the KV to GeneXus 18 is to open it with this new version. That ensures that GeneXus will make the internal KV conversion so that it is ready to work in this new version. And at the same time, all the settings configured will be maintained. So a very easy way to convert your KV is for you to open the KV in this new version, have a rebuild all, and automatically that app will be working smoothly in this version. Now, in terms of the GXFlow and GAM resources, when you open the KV with this new version, those resources will be updated and they will start using the new design system of this version. But in the case of conversions in particular, those changes will not take place. The settings that you have been working with will be maintained. So if you're using GAM and you made different changes in user registration or login objects, make sure that you configure the GAM settings so that the resources are not updated before the rebuild all so that you don't lose those changes. And remember that in the GXFlow case, as I mentioned before, properties will not change and your settings will be maintained. So if you were using a theme, you will still see that theme. But the GXFlow compiled components distributed with this version will look with the Unanime design system. And then the last thing that I suggest you do once you have converted the app to GeneXus 18 is to execute the build to the tests in an automatic way, that is to run the CI pipelines. This will enable you to easily and quickly get a status of the KB both in the build and the test execution, and that is the first way for you to know whether or not your app will be working correctly in this new version or whether or not you need to make any adjustments. And now finally, I want to make a recommendation. Even if I mentioned that the road starts here, it doesn't end here, because we continue releasing GeneXus updates every 2 months as we had done with the previous versions. So I do recommend that you stay updated to the last GeneXus version, and you always work with that version so that you can get the most benefits offered by this version. So these are the keys that I wanted to mention for you today, and that will help you achieve success in the process of migrating to GeneXus 18. These, of course, are based on the GROW methodology, and I am convinced that they will help you grow and accelerate your processes. We have the technology and the experience to help you on your road, so count on us. Thank you.